If you are ready for depth, authenticity, and true activation, you're exactly where you're meant to be. It's my honor to welcome to the stage, Cassandra.
I may not look like it, standing here in a blazer dress and some sparkly heels, but growing up, my nickname was the tomboy in heels. And I tell you that because growing up as a woman in competitive sports, there's a certain type of energy that grows as a byproduct of that. Any athletes in the room? Hell yeah. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. The tomboy in heels. How can you be both? And that, my friends, is exactly what brings us here today to dissect. Because this tension that you feel between these two conflicting parts of yourself, these two identities that you feel like they could not possibly coexist, they're complete opposites, opposite ends of the spectrum, it causes you to believe that it has to be or. This or that. One or the other. Visionary or integrator. Hustle or rest. Masculine or feminine. Discipline or freedom. I could go all day. Hell, I wrote a book, hundreds of them. And so we believe that we have to choose or, but here's the problem. When we choose or, and we go all in on one side, we are fragmenting ourselves in the process. You can't build $1 billion empire when you are abandoning half of who you are. You need both. Some people are wanting to clap for that one, hell yeah. This is just rubber. It's full of potential. Right now it's got a lot of slack. You can't do anything with this. You can't build muscle with this. You can't build strength with this. It's unrealized. But watch what happens when we do this. Now we have something. Now we have resistance. Now we have the very thing that builds muscle, the very thing that builds strength, the very thing that I believe builds empires. Because now we have tension. Somebody say tension. Tension. You see, tension is not the problem. Tension's actually the entire point. I ended up going to school for sport business management. I worked in professional sports. I was one of 5 women in a class of 80 men. They were all clawing for the exact same position with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. MLSE, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors. And out of 1,000 applicants, guess who landed the job? Yours truly. Because I had out-hustled everybody. I had outworked them. I had out-toughed them. I had out-hustled them all to get this position. But when I got the position and I got inside of MLSE, I felt empty. And I couldn't really understand why. I had everything that I wanted. I had everything that everybody else wanted. So why was I feeling like I was so empty? Because I had out-hustled everyone to get there. I was the girl that wouldn't stay down. But I was also the girl who couldn't feel. And I arrive in Austin, Texas, to a room that is dark, with yoga mats scattered all across the floor. And they introduced us to a gentleman who's going to be leading us through a breathwork ceremony. Now, at the time, breathwork was not super trendy. Not everybody knew what it was. I had never done breathwork. Surprise. But I signed up because that's what you do when you're building. That's what you do when you're competitive. I can probably breathe better than her. So I take my spot. The lights begin to dim. The music begins to play. And we begin to breathe. In, out, in, out, in, out. And before you know it, the room is popping off. We got somebody over here laughing. We got somebody over here crying. We got somebody behind me in a full-blown exorcism level screaming. Okay? Some of you are laughing because you're like, yeah, that's me. Right, good. That was not me. And I kept on asking, is there something wrong with me? I have like one eye peeked open. I'm thinking to myself, did they give everybody drugs? because I didn't get any drugs. For 1 entire hour, I lay on this mat, breathing. And yet I felt nothing. And so at the end of the ceremony, the breathwork facilitator, he comes over to me, he kneels down on the mat next to me, and he looks me in the eye and he said, "You didn't have an experience, did you?" I said, "No." And he said, "Cassandra," looked me dead in the eye, I will never forget this. Y'all have heard some of this. And he said to me, "You are wearing a bulletproof vest and nobody here has a gun." A lot of people think that a river is feminine. And while the water is feminine because the water flows, the water without the riverbed or without the walls, it would just be a puddle. Without the direction of the masculine walls, that water has absolutely nowhere to go. We need both. We need this integration of the water and the walls, because the water and the walls together, that is duality. That is powerful. That is integration. That is capacity expansion. You can't build $1 billion business abandoning half of who you are. And so next time you're going to go show up, or you want to pitch yourself to come stand on this stage, or you want to start a podcast, or you want to get on and do the talking head and all the stuff, and you think to yourself, well, which one do I show up as? The answer is both. The answer is the human connection and your realness and your rawness and your stories and your failures and everything that makes you you, but also your authority, your credibility, why you're a badass, the things that you've done and how you can show them and you can lead the way. Any moms in the room? Yeah.
She's pregnant.
Yeah. Is this your first?
Second.
There we go. She knows. She's like, I've already been there. I'm on the other side. Blood volume increases 40 to 50%. The rib cage expands. The uterus, it expands 500 times its normal size. Hell, mine is still going down 6 months later. Your heart pumps harder to sustain 2 circulatory systems, and that shortness of breath that you feel, it's your lungs trying to increase their efficiency while they have less physical space. The evidence that I found was the greatest evidence that ever existed. The female body doesn't say which one. The female body expands. And so here's how we're going to wrap this up. Every single one of you has a phone. I'm going to get you to hold out your phones for me. I want you to turn on your cameras, and y'all are going to repeat after me. I know that there's a voice inside of your head telling you that you have to go one direction or the other. But I am here to tell you, you don't need to choose. You need to become both. That is the river. That is duality. That is how you expand your capacity. Thank you, friends.